Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Addams Family, more specifically about the character Uncle Fester. Now on this channel I cover classic TV shows and movies, and I get really excited to go into my detective mode and find out these really cool tidbits, these really cool pieces of information that even sometimes surprises and amazes me when I find out all about them. But this one is one that really made me giddy. When I found out about all these actors who were in contention to play the role of Uncle Fester, I was blown away. I didn't know this. Usually I don't tell you about this stuff in my intro, but I did want to let you know. So if you like videos like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe. It really helps out. It really lets me know what you want to see, and it's absolutely free. It's a great way to support a creator like myself. Now let's begin with the character Uncle Fester himself. He was kind of a zany little weird guy, as pretty much everyone is on the Addams Family, but he was of course bald, and he had these bugged out eyes with just brown circles or just dark circles around his eyes. And what we know, what comes to our mind when we think of Uncle Fester, is definitely Jackie Coogan. Now I won't get into the entire life of Jackie Coogan. I have many videos covering him, but I do want to let you know, yes, he was the small little boy in the movie The Kid with Charlie Chaplin. It's kind of hard to believe, but it is true, and they chose him amongst other actors to play this role of Uncle Fester. And like I said, there's this quirky comedic side to him where he would always say things like, "I'll shoot him in the back," and many other funny things. And the versatility was just great with this actor. Now, not only was Jackie Coogan really invested in the part, he actually shaved his head for the role because he thought it would add some authenticity to it. I'll make a whole video just on that in his audition specifically, but I just want to talk about the other actors. So if you can kind of put what you think aside in terms of who you know as Uncle Fester, let's take a look at the other three actors who are in contention for the role. And I'll give you my thoughts and insights into why I think they weren't picked, the good, the bad, and some things I learned about Uncle Fester that I think none of you have ever noticed, and I think you'll be really, really amazed. Now, there aren't tons of pictures of these guys in character, in makeup, and so forth, and that is just because, of course, they weren't chosen, and so we see all the episodes of Jackie Coogan. And one other thing that I like for you to keep in mind is that a lot of people actually don't know who these actors are. I did a lot of detective work and narrowed it down to these actors, and I'm fairly confident this is who these are. I've compared them to other photos of them without makeup and so forth, and it's going to be a great ride to look at these actors. Now let's begin with this man. His name is Percy Helton. Now Percy Helton was chosen as one of the possible contenders to be Uncle Fester in the original Addams Family. Now what is great when you look at the few images that we do possess of him, the most glaring thing and the most obvious thing is that he is not bald. He is balding, I guess we can say, but no, there's a lot of hair behind the ears and the head, which I think is really interesting because we did not get that in the final incarnation of who they wanted Uncle Fester to be. And to me, this says that the actor didn't want to either use a ball cap or to leave his hair exposed. And this is something that you'll notice with the other actors. The character does not have hair. And so they probably liked him, but the hair thing wasn't working. That's one thing I'm noticing. Second thing, if you notice, his eyebrows are fairly covered up. You can see that there's a top part, almost like they put some type of makeup or kind of putty type material to kind of cover it up. But you can see his eyebrows are made just thinner. Remember, the show was in black and white, and so they knew what colors would come through. That's why these images were used. Other couple things you'll notice is his chin. He has kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but a butt chin. And that is very interesting as well compared to the other two actors that you will see in a little bit. Now, you will notice that he does have circles around his eyes. That is very similar to what we knew as the Uncle Fester character. And now in this particular image, you will see that it's in fact fairly scary. He's laughing, and yes, you could say, well, that's normal. That's what the Addams Family was supposed to do, but really think about all the characters, whether it's Lurch or Morticia or John Aston in the 60s incarnation. they aren't really supposed to be scary. Yes, they're supposed to be a little bit weird and creepy, but this is kind of terrifying, and I don't think that's the image they wanted to go for in terms of having Percy play Uncle Fester. And you'll see what I mean when we look at the other two actors that come ahead. You will see that as we move along, their faces, or that is their countenances, go from creepy to less creepy and more acceptable. There's like a loving nature to them, and I'll show you that to you in just a little bit. But before I do, why do you think Percy was not chosen? I'd love to see it in the comments below. Now, this is Maurice Gosfield. Now, what makes him interesting and makes him stand out above basically the three actors I'm going to show you, not counting Jackie Coogan, is he is wearing a bald cap. Now, you will notice this looks horrible on him, and of course, remember, this is just a screen test, or this is just a test that they use just to kind of get an idea of what the character will look like. You'll see that his eyes are a lot more open. The bald cap is on his head, so that means the actor was pretty much not willing to shave his head, or else they wouldn't have used the bald cap. And they're moving again from the previous actor, Percy, to someone who, hey, let's put a bald cap on him. Let's make this character bald. You see his countenance is a lot different. His nose droops down a little bit more. He has more of a grandpa feel, if that makes sense to you. More of a loving grandpa. Look at the big eyes. There's more of a loving nature that comes out versus terrifying, which we see in Percy. Now look at the eyebrows. It looks like there's just gigantic pieces of putty on. But let me tell you, when they would zoom out, they wouldn't make that so obvious. Remember, this is like a very rough draft. So this was not the final look. This is just a quick test to look at what the actor will look like across the screen. Also, his lips are very thin compared to Percy. And again, that adds to a whole nature. There's like a glowing, just more full look to his face. He's wearing kind of the same Uncle Fester kind of coat that we're all used to seeing, and it is a very different look, but they did not decide to go with Maurice. Now let me know in the comments below, why do you think they passed on him? Again, not really counting the bald cap, because that really doesn't count, and the eyebrows, because you'll be surprised to know that yes, Jackie Coogan throughout the course of the Addams Family did have his eyebrows covered, and that's pretty awesome, something I never noticed before. Now, this is one that really surprises me, guys and gals, because at first I didn't know who this actor was, and I was completely shocked. You will notice a lot of differences here, and when I tell you who he is, I think you're going to be surprised if you're a fan of 60s and 70s television and movies. His name is Stanley Adams. Now, he was in a lot of things like the other actors, but primarily to me, he stands out from the last episode of Gilligan's Island. Now, he played King Kaliawani. Now, what's great is he was also in the Twilight Zone, that episode with Buster Keaton. So he does have a lot of forte. He is a really good actor that they picked. But let me tell you, he looks completely different in this because he is, of course, bald. And they did do some prosthetic work on him. He does have his eyebrows covered up as well. So all three actors have their, in fact, all four, even Jackie Coogan, they all have their eyebrows covered up to make it look like he doesn't have any eyebrows. And it pulls his forehead forward just a little bit. Now you will notice he does have more natural look to him. That is, everything is just so smooth. Not only his head, but just his cheeks. It's very round, smooth, flowing. And in my opinion, they almost went too far. It's almost too sanitized. It's almost just too clean to be Uncle Fester. Now, that's my thoughts. Now, he would be a great actor. He was actually in an episode of The Addams Family with Vito Scotti, which is really, really cool. But his lips are a lot fuller. It gives just kind of a glow. His eyes definitely do light up as well, as opposed to Percy, the first actor I showed you. And he does have those dark circles present. But they decided not to use him, and I'm just really curious to ask you why you think so in the comments down below. And then of course here we have Jackie Coogan, and we can see the interesting things about him. Now looking at Jackie, I'll put a couple photos on here, including what he looked like normally. That is pretty much with a mustache and everything, his normal everyday look. This was not what he looked like normally. Now he definitely has his eyebrows covered up, and that's made, as I mentioned, to make his eyes pop a little more, his forehead kind of come out, and it is that browed look that they were going for. He does have the dark circles. I think there was a lot of versatility in his face and what he could do with contortions and so forth. You've seen the images of him. You've seen him countless of times in episodes. Why do you think they used him? I think there was a very smooth look to his face. There's this creepiness to him, but he doesn't like terrify you. It's just like creepy. It's weird. It's unusual, but he's lovable. Like, you want to be around him, if that makes sense. You want to see him on screen. And to be honest, the other three actors, it's not like I didn't want to see him, but I was a little bit repulsed in the sense of it's just a little too jarring, if that makes sense. So that's what casting does. Hopefully this video gives an idea of what casting directors and just casting talent do in terms of choosing someone who's just right for the part. Doesn't mean that the others are bad, it's just not the right fit. So I would love to hear your thoughts on why you think Jackie was chosen over the other three actors. Now, before I finish, I do want to let you know that I did find out similar info on other actors like Lurch, who was going to play him, and Morticia. It's so mind-blowing to see these other actors and actresses in that makeup with like John Astin and so forth, and they didn't choose them. So let me know if you'd like to see that. I'll make separate videos on it. We'll see you next time, guys and gals. Don't forget to always stay positive, and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to all the supporters I have on Patreon, especially my diamond tier patrons: Vito L, Tommy G, Ricky, David D, Citizen Kane, Sally N, and Grace U. If you want to find more exclusive content, visit my Patreon page, links in the description.